Welcome to latest news. I'm Kasha Madira. Israel says it continues to strike targets in Iran after launching a major offensive last Friday. In response, Iran fired missiles toward Israel. Israeli officials say they focused on Tehran's air, defense systems and sites used to launch ballistic missiles and drones. Several of the Iranian missile attacks were visible and audible over Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. The strikes didn't only hit major cities. Smaller towns also suffered damage to buildings. Sadly, 3 people died in these attacks. Morning images showed the damage and revealed that Israel's advanced air defense system isn't perfect. Meanwhile, people in Iran feel far less protected, with their military defenses struggling against Israeli air raids. Iranian officials report about 80 people killed so far, mostly civilians and children. On top of that, 2 senior military commanders and 3 nuclear scientists have been assassinated. Israel's military says it is preparing a possible move toward Tehran. The Israeli Defense Minister, Israel Katz, warned that Tehran would face serious consequences if the missile attacks continue. Our Middle East correspondent, Hugo Bacha, reports from Jerusalem. Iran launched about 200 missiles overnight. The Israeli military worked to intercept many as millions sought shelter. Air raid sirens sounded in Tel Aviv when a missile struck a residential area south of the city, causing severe damage and casualties. Emergency teams have been on site all morning, helping residents and assessing the destruction. Officials say there are between 24 and 26 injured, with some fatalities. Meanwhile, Iranian targets continue to face attacks, including Mirabad Airport, where smoke was seen rising following Israeli strikes. In Tehran, the Israeli military shared images showing strikes on Iranian missiles ready to launch. Israel says its goal is to weaken Iran's nuclear program, but the scope of the attack suggests a bigger aim, possibly toppling the regime altogether. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has defended these military actions and is moving forward with them. He said the mission is to eliminate the nuclear and missile threats to Israel. He added that as Israel reaches its goals, it's also helping to pave the way for freedom from Iran's leadership. Netanyahu warned that Iran should not assume the attacks will stop without consequences. Israel won't let the regime get away easily. For Iran, the choices are tough. A strong response could drag the U.S. into conflict and bring heavy damage, while a weak reaction might look like defeat. Israel seems willing to take that risk and has made it clear this could be just the start of a larger struggle, a battle that could threaten the very survival of Iran's leaders. Our correspondent Hugo Bacha reports from Jerusalem. We'll hear more from him shortly. Now, I'm joined live by World News correspondent Joe Inwood. Joe, you've been following the situation closely. Can Israel's military reach Iran's deeply buried nuclear sites? Joe, the short answer is no. Some of Iran's key nuclear facilities, like the one called Fordo and a newer site being built at Mount Kolang, lie 80 to 100 meters underground, protected by thick, reinforced concrete. That makes it extremely hard for Israel to strike them effectively. While there are weapons designed to penetrate heavy concrete, the challenge remains huge. This is why many experts say a military strike to fully destroy Iran's nuclear program is incredibly difficult, if not impossible. One of the biggest challenges for Israel is reaching Iran's deeply buried nuclear sites. To do this, you need very powerful bombs called bunker busters. Bombs designed to punch through thick layers of earth and concrete. The most powerful bunker buster the U.S. has is the GBU-57B, also known as the Massive Ordnance Penetrator. It's a 30,000-pound bomb dropped from a stealthy B-2 bomber and can dig down about 60 meters underground. If a few of these hit the same spot over several days, they might be able to destroy a deeply buried target. But Israel doesn't have bombs like that. The best bunker busters they reportedly have, called the Rocks and the Air Laura, can only penetrate around 6 meters underground. The Israeli military released a 3D graphic showing an attack on the Natanz facility, one of Iran's nuclear sites. This facility is only about 10 meters underground, so it's possible that Israel's weapons could damage it seriously. However, the really deep facilities, those buried far beneath reinforced concrete, are probably out of reach without American bombs. That's an important point because, officially, the U.S. says it wasn't involved in the Israeli strikes. But the messaging from Washington has been confusing. For example, Donald Trump suggested Israel might be using American capabilities, though details are vague. At the same time, U.S. officials, including Secretary of State Marco Rubio, insisted that Israel acted alone, even while emphasizing Israel's right to defend itself. So there's been some mixed signals about just how much support Israel is getting from the U.S. Donald Trump seemed to hint that he knew about Israel's strike ahead of time and may have given it some sort of approval, whether a green light or an amber light. But there's a big difference, especially in military terms, between the U.S. simply giving permission and being directly involved. The U.S. has the kind of weapons that could truly destroy Iran's deep underground nuclear sites if they decided to take part. Thanks so much, Joe, for breaking down the complexities for us. We'll let you keep monitoring the situation. Now, shifting back to the impact on the ground, we heard earlier from Hugo Bacha, reporting from Rishon LeZion, one of the areas badly hit by Iran's missile strikes. Here's what he shared. This is the scene here in Rishon LeZion, where a missile caused a lot of destruction. Houses have been completely destroyed by the blast. Residents have been coming all morning to try and recover whatever they can from the rubble. You can see damaged cars and homes all around, showing just how powerful this attack was. It was a long night with air raid sirens across the country. I was in Jerusalem just before dawn when there were loud explosions. Israel's air defense systems trying to intercept missiles fired by Iran. The Israeli military says about 200 missiles were launched in this massive response to the Israeli strikes the day before.